Where the hell is my pizza? You're wasting my damn time. Where the hell is my pizza? This has to be a crime. I waited 2 hours because this isn't fine. Where the hell is my pizza? You're wasting my damn time. My craving grew high as What's up, guys? SpongeBoy Collector here, and today we're going to be looking at all of Mrs. Puff's criminal history. And we're going to be talking about how she's actually a runaway from a different town, and Mrs. Puff actually isn't her real name. So like, subscribe, comment, do all that fun stuff. Let's get right into the video. Okay, so the first time that Mrs. Puff got arrested in the SpongeBob series was in the episode Hall Monitor. The episode starts out with Mrs. Puff choosing that week's hall monitor. Everyone did it except for SpongeBob. She tried her best to avoid giving it to SpongeBob, but she did. He ended up using all the time in class just to make a speech, so he missed out on being a hall monitor. So she said that he could wear the outfit for the rest of the day, but that seemed to make him think he was law enforcement, and he caused havoc in town. Mrs. Puff seen him and kind of scolded him for it. And she told the cops that he was her responsibility, so that automatically made her liable for all the crimes. For some weird reason, the laws in the underwater sea is so stupid. So she got arrested for all the havoc that was caused in this episode. In this next episode, this reveals how Mrs. Puff actually had a different boat in school and she had a different name. And now how Mrs. Puff actually ain't her name. In the episode No Free Rides, SpongeBob fails once again trying to get his driver's license, so he starts singing a song about how it's gonna take him one more year. Mrs. Puff straight up was like, I cannot handle another year of SpongeBob, so she gives SpongeBob the opportunity to get extra credit, and the extra credit ain't really much of shit, but she uses that to let him pass to get rid of him. But then she realizes how bad of a mistake that is, because she's made the same mistake in the past at her old boat in school, and it caused her to have to move towns, change names, and change her boating school completely. And she made a friggin' oath to help everyone pass no matter what. So she was like, I'm not worried about it, nothing bad can come out of this. She goes to her house, and SpongeBob and his family throws a party for her to basically thank her for helping SpongeBob pass, just to reveal that they bought SpongeBob a car. So she basically knew that she was kind of screwed at this point. So she goes to his house, leaves balloon animals, I guess, to distract the cops, because that also clashes in later on with with her being a runaway. And then she just steals the boat. Not only did she steal the boat, but when SpongeBob caught her and was fighting her, she crashed into a cop car. It was kind of funny, actually. I mean, but yeah, she got arrested for stealing the boat and crashing into the cop car. That was some crazy shit. In this episode, I think it just shows how crazy and mentally messed up Mrs. Puff is. In the episode Doing Time, Mrs. Puff was caught in a loop that kept showing her and SpongeBob crash into a fruit punch truck. The first time in the loop, they crashed into the truck. Mrs. Puff was arrested, and there was a whole thing of SpongeBob and Patrick trying to break her out, and it was failing. And when Mrs. Puff would try and tell the guards, they would not see SpongeBob and Patrick, so they thought she was going crazy. They threw her into solitaire. However, while she's in solitary, the whole room turns into SpongeBob, which is her worst enemy. So she screams, but then she wakes up and she's back in the loop. And then they crash into the fruit punch truck again, but this time SpongeBob gets arrested. But she still sees herself in the gel outfit, so she wakes up again in the loop. And it's just a whole shit show over and over again. This just shows how mentally messed up Mrs. Puff is. In this episode, Mrs. Puff actually deserved to get arrested, okay? In the episode Ditchin', SpongeBob and Patrick wanted to go to the Merryman and Barnacle Boy comic book signing. So they came up with a plan for SpongeBob to ditch school by acting like he needed to use the bathroom, and then he just leaves school to go get his book signed. Well, the whole time he was basically out having the best day of his life. He ended up going back to school before the final bell, and he got caught ditching. But Mrs. Puff got arrested because she ditched jury duty for a whole week. You know, I don't see why she did that, because one thing is, if I'm not wrong, some like places do like a paid time off so you can do the jury duty. So I don't get that. I don't know why she does jury duty. Ms. Puff is dumb. In this next episode, this is kind of debatable whether it's Mrs. Puff's fault or not. In the episode, Summer Job. Yes, she was under control of the boat in this episode, but SpongeBob kind of drove her to this. She was trying to leave for the summer, obviously. So SpongeBob started chasing her with a note and stuff. And so she, if I'm not wrong, the note like actually landed in her face and she crashed into the Krusty Krab. And in order to pay back the fines and stuff, she worked for Mr. Krabs. But eventually she couldn't take it and left because SpongeBob just kept on annoying her and bothering her. She ended up leaving, and a note was in her car, and she ripped it up, and then she littered it. That's why she went to jail, because she littered. And then, worse came to worse, she actually has to retake driving class in prison. And they let SpongeBob be the teacher, and I think that was intentional. I really do, because who would intentionally let a guy that has failed thousands of times? I forgot to mention that when she left the Krusty Krab, she broke the whole front way again. She needs some help, man. In this episode, I feel like Mrs. Puff was kind of wrongfully arrested because this was not her fault. In the episode Oral Report, that's it, oral. Anyways, SpongeBob had to say a speech in front of the whole class, and he was so nervous and shit, so he couldn't do it. So Sandy gave him this device that he could wear where basically he could see the whole class in their underwear. And it was working. He was laughing his ass off about it. He found it so funny. So then he started saying his speech perfectly fine, but then from where the glasses was broken when Patrick broke the glasses, the underwear on everyone started talking weird and being rude to him. So he started speeding off in one of Mrs. Puff's boats. She tried to chase him down, but he destroyed half the city by crashing into the buildings and stuff and destroying everything. And because of that, Mrs. Puff was arrested. She was held accountable for SpongeBob's actions. Yeah, that's just not cool. Because SpongeBob was the one driving the damn boat. He stole the damn boat, but he gets a slap on the wrist just because he's SpongeBob. Man, I don't give a shit if you're the president. If I was a cop, your ass is gonna be in the back of my cop car. This episode, this was definitely not Mrs. Puff's fault. This was bullshit. In the episode Patrick wanted to find something with his life to do with his life. He became a superhero. He went by a school, and there's these kids that was trying to high five and accidentally hit him, and he jumped on him for it, told him violence don't solve nothing. And then he accused Mr. Krabs of being a thief because he was trying to pick up $1 off the side of the road. And then Mrs. Puff, this is where she came in play. Mrs. Puff had a student driver that was stuck in a car. The door was jammed. She was trying to get it opened, and Patrick accused her of being a friggin' boat stealer. So she got arrested because of that. And so then that poor dude was left in that car and he couldn't get out. This episode was bullshit. The only good thing Patrick did was pop the dirty bubble, but he accidentally did that because he's a fat ass and he bent over to pick up a Krabby Patty. Him and his crusty fat pink ass. Mrs. Puff was done dirty in this episode. I will say that. That woman's been through so much hell in this friggin' series. And the final episode where she got arrested was Bumper to Bumper. This episode was the closest we will ever see SpongeBob to passing to get his license. She told SpongeBob to focus on the road, nothing but the road, because she realized he's scared of the road. And he got way too focused on the road, and they ended up in another city. And she broke her parole because she wasn't supposed to go that far. She ended up getting arrested because of that, because she broke her parole, but she almost had something here. She almost passed SpongeBob. But, you know, she had him too focused. Now, there is other crimes she did not get arrested for. For example, like the multiple times she has tried to kill SpongeBob. But here's this. The ranged boat teacher makes getaway, distracts authorities with balloon animals. And that is clearly Mrs. Puff in the picture. So, in the episode, if I'm not wrong, it was No Free Rides. She mentioned in this episode how she had to change school names, had to change cities, had to change schools in the past. She said she would not do it again. And when she stole SpongeBob's boat, she used balloon animals and dropped them on the ground, and I'm assuming that was to distract the cops when she stole the boat. And it all adds up. That shows like how her behavior was in the other city. This was in New Kelp City too, I'm assuming, because that's the only other major city under the sea, other than Poseidon's Palace, which I don't see anyone living there that don't have like a high lifestyle. Mrs. Puff made the mistake in the past of passing someone, and they caused havoc. So she had to get out of there. She got away. She got her name legally changed somehow without like being like caught and sent back to New Kelp City to serve her time. I don't know, but she got away with that shit, and she never got caught for it. And not to mention that in the episode when she thinks about when she let SpongeBob pass, how there was a news report of him crashing and stuff, and it showed the fish, that's the news reporting fish, and he had long hair at the time, which if you see him in newer episodes, not newer episodes, but like, you know, the regular episodes, he didn't have long hair. This was from a long time ago. She imagined the same news report that happened about her when she was in New Kelp, but with SpongeBob in it. So that news report happened. I believe that news report was real at one point, but it wasn't SpongeBob, it was someone else. So yeah, that is the criminal history of Mrs. Puff. Hope y'all liked. Hope you subscribe, comment, do all that fun stuff. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace out, guys.